We're lighting up already?
Now I know why Joaquin Phoenix did this. Welcome everybody to
Oh, jeez.
one of my most controversial takes I think I've ever had on this channel. Surprisingly, the support and thank you for everybody in the comments. I do want to highlight. I think their name was Trio Aquiline in the comment section. They disputed with me very um, in a very professional manner, I guess is the best word to phrase it as. And they sub despite their difference, to my opinion. And I wanted to point them out because I appreciate people who have a take different from mine, but are decent and respectful with the way they choose to combat my view. So thank you for that. And hopefully you enjoy this breakdown where me and Justin Proper are going to take two different sides. I'm going to defend the shit out of this movie, and Justin's going to come from apparently everybody else's point of view. So everybody, welcome Justin Proper to. We've done these kind of reviews before, and go see our. We had a review on Cocaine Bear and Scream where we take two opposing sides and we argue our points. And a good majority of the time, most of us will be on one side, some people will be on another, and you guys get to argue with or against who you favors opinion. So, uh, Purpose here, thank you, Purpose. He says he better pay attention to the road. Yeah, so he's doing this on the road. Justin, how
Good.
are you
I'm
doing?
good to go. I'm not looking at Zod.
So, Justin, give people a brief synopsis of your overall thoughts and then just your rating before we dive into really the weeds of getting into our argument. And then I'm going to read an article that people have misquoted and fuck Rolling Stone because they misrepresented Todd Phillips' words. I'm going to read what he said and then what the article chose to put as its tagline, which all of
Okay.
the rage bait YouTubers, of course, started attacking Todd Phillips and saying he said fuck the fans. That's not what he said. And I'm going to read exactly in his words what he's quoted as saying. And then what the article obviously wanted to throw in everybody's faces because Rolling Stone and everybody else wants them to go, oh, look at the fanboys. They're crying. Fuck you guys. And fuck journalism in general. The media's dead. Journalism is fucking dead.
I wouldn't say fuck journalism. Fuck journalists.
Yeah, journalism in general is fine as a concept. You're absolutely right. Thank you. It's the journal lists that are in this era reporting
It's the writers of the
poorly.
articles that kind of that will just spew in a certain take as opposed to just putting facts out. Like you could say like, well, some people think this, but some people may think that, but this is what he had to say in response, so on and
And
so
then,
forth. What do you
yeah, and then the
think?
quote.
That's all it takes. Honestly, it's simple. You can make like I don't know if these guys have like a certain character amount or something that they have to reach, but whatever. It's bullshit. But to go into the film, Joker Folie is a musical sequel to the 2019 film Joker. And that film, the first one, made over $1 billion on like a $50 million budget. It is the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. It was a surprise to audiences because like we weren't sure. At least I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to get into. I was like, this could be great. This could be terrible. I went in with an open mind on opening night at the Cinerama Dome in Los Angeles and watched it on 60 millimeter film, which is the perfect film. It's the perfect movie to watch on actual film. It was perfect for that. And I had a great experience with it. Joker 2, which is what I'll refer to it as, not so much. Luckily, I knew that it was a musical going in. I knew that Lady Gaga was going to play a version of Harley Quinn or whatever it was. And I knew that it was going to. I knew it was going to be something. but that's something really bored me to tears. For a lot of it, I was waiting and waiting for something to happen, and I felt like by the end of it, I wasted my time. And while I think it is a very, to put it nicely, it's a bold second chapter in this duology. It is a bold move to do what Todd Phillips did, and I appreciate the work he put into it. But at the end of the day, I hated it, and I would give it. The more I think about it, the more I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 out of 10.
Oh, and just for context, when we originally talked, he was at a 5. So, my
Yeah, it
take.
was a 5 initial reaction. Then I thought about it more, and I'm like, nah, it's more like a 3.5. And honestly, like it's not because of the film in isolation, but it is like as a dual component to the first one. I understand what Todd Phillips was trying to do. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it, and I can't help myself. And I felt the same feeling as I have with other disappointing sequels that we're not going to name, because if I name them, people are just going to hear the name of the movie and just be like, "Oh, he thinks it's like this." No, no, it's not. It's its own unique situation. Um, yeah, very, very disappointing as a Joker sequel.
Now, I'm going to take the opposite end. For one, I don't view this as a sequel, but more of an epilogue to the first movie. A sequel to me is something that may take elements, hey, Christine, from the first movie, and then build a whole new chapter. This to me is more of if you have a book and then you read to the ending and you get the epilogue that kind of caps off what happened to the characters, as opposed to telling something completely new while using the same world and characters. I think this is poorly marketed as far as going as a sequel. This to me screams if Joker was a 4-hour movie instead of a 2-hour movie. And okay, you had the events of the first film, and then this is the aftermath. One, I don't think this is a sequel. I think that's a terrible way to view this. And two, I could never go as low as a 3 if I was to drop down my score. I think 5 was a good metric. I understand when you have time to think about it and just factor in everything. That's fair enough. I don't think it's in 3 and 5. I've heard people saying this is the worst movie of 2024. Have you seen the fucking Crow?
No,
People are saying this movie is worse than Madam Web. You are fucking
I,
insane.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry. I
I,
don't.
I,
I can't. Dude, Madam Web literally had technical issues like bad ADR, like whole scenes that were like cut and pasted together. And I'm sorry if you hate this film. I understand your feelings, but you are fucking high if you think this movie is worse than Borderlands, Madam Web, The fucking Crow that should have never happened. That was a cash grab sequel. This to me is people are pissed off because it's not anything what they were expecting, which is fine, and their gut visceral reaction is to shit all over this movie and give it no credit at all. And I'm going to do that in this spoilers. And I'm sure Justin is going to give some credits to what, because we'll talk about what we liked and what we didn't. And trust me, there's things in this movie I don't like. But to say this movie is on the level of Madam Web, you are fucking insane. I'm sorry. That is a terrible take. Like, Madam Web's not even
you
a
know,
watchable
you know what's
movie.
funny? You know what's funny about that though? It has nothing to do with Madam Web, but you mentioned that people said this is the worst movie of 2024. People
Oh
who
yeah,
say that obviously haven't watched enough movies. They
dude,
haven't watched
I,
enough movies. They just
dude,
haven't.
I,
And
I'm
then
doing a
if
top.
somebody were to ask, well, Justin, what do you think is worse than Joker 2? What's worse than Joker 2? I don't know, because I haven't seen enough movies this year to tell you. Like, I I don't really. I mean, I think what the big part of it though, I would have dropped this score much lower had I had not known that it was a musical. Had I had gone in completely blind, I would have been furious. Do you understand? I hate movie musicals with a burning passion. I hate them. I love Broadway because it's live. It's live theater, and it takes a lot of talent to do that every single night, and it's a whole art form on its own. In a movie, though, I just want to fast forward through the songs because the songs in musicals, and this is what Joker 2 is also guilty of this. Joker 2, when a lot of the songs come in, it just takes away from the story. It's just like we need to pad the runtime. It's almost like, Todd Phillips had a 40, 50 page script and was like, we'll throw in music. Why not? Fuck it, and we'll get Lady Gaga to do it. Like, honestly, I didn't even think Todd Phillips wanted to do this to begin with, but then they threw him a bunch of money and they were like, he's like, okay, whatever, I'll come up with something. And then this was it. I mean, that's part of where I went with it, what I was thinking. And that's how it feels when it is portrayed on screen. When I see the final product, that's how it feels watching the movie.
Oh yeah, like don't get me wrong, the technical aspects and the performances all feel locked in. It's the script and how they're getting from point A to point B is a little bit jarring, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, I just wanted to get some of those out of the way, so everybody who's gonna rage click and want to see me, I'm not gonna shit on this movie. Justin might be more of your take for this, and he's not even gonna shit on this movie because we're just gonna look at this movie and break it down as a fucking movie. I don't like this. I
can shit on it like when it's worthwhile, when it's worth it, but I'm not going to be like completely unrealistically like unfair to it. Like I'm not just going to be like this sucks, because it's like it sucked to watch. Sure, I was depressed the rest of the day when I watched it. But
I will give you that. This movie has, to me, even more dour of a tone than the original. Even Bitchy has been saying for days, and we'll get to the ending. The ending made her depressed for our protagonist in this. So I will warn you guys, and I'm going to put up the banners. But at this point, everybody's heard it, or you've made up your mind whether or not you're going to watch it. And you're watching this to see.
All right. Hey, while you do that, I'll be right back. All right.
Okay. So while first, I'm going to read something before I get into the actual review of Joker. But there's this thing that people have been saying that Todd Phillips said, fuck the fans. And I'm going to pull this article up for you guys by Rolling Stone because he didn't say fuck the fans. I'm going to read his quote and then I'm going to read the title of the article that people are pulling from. And I'm going to directly debunk everything that he has said. I'm going to also you just kind of read this out loud for you so you guys could get a better sense of what's going on. So, Joker Folie, Deux, and I will zoom in so you could see Todd Phillips' actual words. And this goes to his feelings of the first movie. So, he does explain that Joker Folie, Deux is a different, more tuneful beast than its predecessor, and it shouldn't and you couldn't call what they're doing fan service. Giving a general cut of its jib that is elevating and emulating disturbed antisocial individuals just because they've tapped into an incoherent rage is a bad idea. In fact, this sequel is whatever the exact opposite of fan service is. During a rare moment of clarity, you'd swear his was actually an indictment for those who flocked to Joker in the first place. Laugh and the whole world laughs with you. Flip the bird and those who loved your nihilism, yip-de-doo, mojo the first time around, however, and you may find yourself standing alone against a mob. So, just to break down what he's saying here, he tapped into a market I don't think he was expecting, and he's saying that everybody is on the side of his first movie because of some of the themes and stuff he wanted to explore, clearly inspired by Taxi Driver and things like that. So the whole world was with him. And I fucking have seen this in comments. Like, even people who I know for a fact didn't like the first movie was like, Todd Phillips, yeah, he's the fucking man. He's fighting against the overall message. And the man was just making a movie. And I understand because he never attacks the fans and he didn't attack the fans for liking or hating the first movie or the critics. He said, I made a movie and this is what it is. But over these couple of years, he's gotten it both ways from both the studios and people expecting something that I don't even feel was delivered in the first film. So he's saying he was on this island, but then when you're making a sequel, you find yourself standing against that same mob. And he says the closest thing of a message of any kind is, hey, fanatics, go fuck yourself. He's not talking, he didn't say, hey, fans. He's talking about people who are fanatical. And let's be real, in any of these spaces that we follow, or in any of the things that we do, my channel included, or anybody else's channel, there are people who tend to take these things in a fanatical direction. And even the message of the movie clearly conveys what a lot of people prop up serial killers, people who do horrible and terrible things, and see them as this symbol, but they're never really that. They're doing these things for their own motives or for their own reasons. This is not saying people who are fans of this film or enjoyed the movie for the movie quality, go fuck yourself. He's saying people fanatical and obsessing over certain things and trying to pull things for their own reasons to either like or hate things. That is what he's talking about. It's not about the person right now who might have loved Joker 1 or who loves Joker 2 and he's saying, go fuck yourself for supporting me. That's not what he's saying at all. He's saying the obsessive, the people who like to skew things to get views, we all see them. Those are the people who he's telling to go fuck themselves. And you know what? I don't fucking blame him. Because either way, this movie was a no win situation. You know, you make a sequel, people are going to compare it to the original. You do something different, they're going to like or hate it. You don't do what everybody's expecting, they're going to hate it. It's really probably why he never wanted to follow this movie up in the first place with a sequel. And that might bug people, and you can completely take this very obviously stated quote and twist the words and the meaning of what's trying to be said to fit what your ideal is. But at the end of the day, that's not what's in black and white. It's just, hey, people who are obsessed with these things to a point of this mob mentality, who take it to scary places, that's not what this is about. And I wanted to read that because when you read his actual quote, it doesn't say fans, it says fanatics. But when you read the quote by Rolling Stones, it says, has a message for fans. Go fuck yourself. They took off fanatics. This is what I'm talking about when I say the media twists words and they twist ideas that the person is trying to say to fit a story that they want to tell, because clearly this is the perfect opportunity for the media to go and spin this like everybody who is a fan, haha, Todd Phillips is sticking it to you. I don't think that's the thing at all. To be quite honest, I'm going to go with Justin's theories here. I don't even think he wanted to make a sequel. This isn't a personal grudge against people or whatever the fuck. And I think people are just so pissed off. They're taking every little thing to try to take a stab or jab at the movie, its director, and its creative team. And you know what? I've said this before and I'll say it again. The passion that's being put forward on screen doesn't come across to me as people who didn't care about the project. I think that there are some misguided things. There are some things that are not very well done, but I don't think it's in any way the director telling fans to go fuck themselves. And you can see that Rolling Stone article later on in the description. I will clip you guys the actual Rolling Stone article, to which they clearly took his words and they shortened them up for a byline, and they knew people were going to click in and not even read the fucking article and what Todd Phillips was saying in his interview, and just clip that little part and go, "Oh, Todd Phillips said fuck the fans. That's why Joker sucks. He was against everyone. He didn't want to make the movie we wanted." Well, no, the original Joker was never about that. If anybody watched the fucking movie, the closest thing the original Joker to me was King's of Comedy meets Taxi Driver. That's kind of the gist that I got of it. Set in Gotham with this character Arthur. So let's talk about Joker Folie Deux and the basic premise. So basically, this movie is two halves. The first half of the movie is Arthur Fleck's time in um, Arkham Asylum. The second half is courtroom drama. Now, I will admit, the more interesting parts of this movie is the Arkham Asylum stuff. It's very oppressive looking aesthetics. I think you have the best sort of interactions. I want to highlight Brandon Gleeson. Does a really excellent performance as the guard. There's also where you can see a couple of themes about how people are treated, these insane criminals and things like that. This also kind of follows true to life. If you've watched a lot of true crime drama, as I have, you'll know that most serial killers and people who are accused of these crazy ass, random, horrific crimes, they tend to be treated quite poorly. Um, they are really hated for their celebrity and whatnot. So, I just got done talking about. Oh wow, I could hear myself. Okay, so oh my goodness. All right, I'm just gonna mute you for a slight second while I do this. All right. Okay, that is stupid. This thing mutes both of us. What is happening? Okay, so.
Is everything okay? You got it worked out?
Oh yeah. Okay, that sounds better. So, I wanted
Yeah.
to touch on, sort of get into this, but I want to say this movie is a movie of two halves. I was talking about the first half. We pick up with Arthur in Arkham, um, and I found this part really compelling. And I get the general gist that most people who like the movie do like the start of this. We get to see him in Arkham. It's very dingy and grungy. I did like kind of the setup they started going with, because I follow serial killers and things, and how these people are treated with their celebrity and things like that, how the guards view them, how the inmates view them. I think that was an interesting angle. To be quite honest, I think the main issue this movie struggles with is it needed to either be a courtroom drama or a prison drama. But trying to smash them both together, somewhere in the middle, it just doesn't fit. Like, the courtroom stuff was okay, but I think the stuff in prison was far more fascinating.
I would say like I was interested in kind of both. And then like the fantasy scenes are fine too. I mean, we did get a little bit of Joker action, but for the most part, I don't really complain about a lack of action in movies very often, especially in comic book movies. Ugh, not enough action. I could give two shits. But but with this, I was like, I expected Joker to have a body count, and there was no body count. It was just all fantasy, and I'm like, no, no, no. There are some people who really needed to get their comeuppance. You know, for example, I'm surprised that he didn't fuck up the guards. You know what I
I
mean?
I gotta say, if there, and I said this for me is a 9 out of 10 was where I rated it, and I still am gonna stand by that and die on that fucking hill. Um, But my point deductions do come from I feel like I, I would have liked to see him actually enact, especially the scene where he's got that one guy who follows him around and the guards strangle him while Joaquin or Arthur is listening to them because he keeps on singing that song and the guard tells him to shut up and then they strangle the kid. And I thought for sure that would lead to Arthur, at the very least, killing one or two of those guards. And like I get it, especially because by the time that scene happens and we go back to court, that's kind of like the final straw of him dropping the facade. But this is what I think people have a problem with and some of the issues that I have. They set up a lot of good ideas here and a lot of avenues you think the movie is going to go into or that would make it exciting, and for some reason go the complete left of that choice. and I can see why.
It feels misleading. That's the issue I have. It's like it just misleads you into thinking something happens, but then like nothing happens at all. And that's sort of the problem that I have with a lot of this movie. It's like it just doesn't go anywhere. He ends up kind of like, now that I think about it, where does he start? He starts in Arkham Asylum, and where does it end? Well, him in the exact same place. And I thought he was going to go to prison, but even after the verdict, he didn't. And I was like, what the? Okay, so this isn't making sense. Why did they just send him back? He was guilty. Why isn't he in maximum security prison?
Because he broke out, and then so they gotta retry him for his other crimes at the end. They didn't.
They have to retry him for more crimes. Like his mom that he confessed to, like that they didn't know about.
Oh yeah, they could probably bring that back up too.
So even though he's convicted of some crimes, they usually, like, if you do that, like in a court of law, you go to jail, but then you come back out like you would like in the asylum, but it would just be in jail. I don't get it. I'm confused by that, but it's a nitpick, I guess. But it just didn't. It didn't make logical sense to me.
T, who says, which movie is better, Joker or Falling Down? If we're talking about the original Joker, which I love, that to me is a 10 out of 10 movie, the first Joker. Or Falling Down, I'm going to have to say probably I'd rank them both at the same, but if I'm picking which one I like, I would have to say Falling Down because Michael Douglas is such a good actor and the themes are closer to the time period I grew up. Like if you lived in the 90s and you understand what the messaging is behind corporate marketing and somebody losing their job and not being able to find their job, I think the social commentary is more relevant for the time it was made. It was a very weird era where people who were in those kinds of jobs were being fucked over, and Michael Douglas' character resonated with a lot of people. And it's a fucking great movie, but it's really hard to compare a movie like that to a movie made in this time period. I think both of them have a strong theme, which Joker more resonates with today's modern society, where Falling Down was more of a product of its time, which was the 90s era and where we were at in the 90s, as opposed to where we're at in 2024 or 2019, however many fucking years we're going to be stuck in this place.
Even though the movie, even though the movie takes place in the 80s, though, so like, but it feels more relevant now for some reason. Yeah.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Back to the second Joker. What were you saying then?
I
had mentioned that the movie doesn't really go anywhere in terms of like things that happen. Like things actually happening, not necessarily growth. I can't say that there was no character growth and development. That was certainly there, but nothing happened really. Like, does that make sense? Like, do you understand the situation?
Yes,
where I'm coming from,
I understand and respect that opinion, and I get it. But even watching it and going through it again, I think that the point of the movie, and people are, and they're probably going to push back on me about this, but this is just my opinion and from the evidence of the movie, is that that is the point of the movie. When you look at this, think about it this way: Joker's supposed to be a grounded take on what would happen if a man like this did what he did, right? And a lot of times in these cases, what happens in this movie is exactly what would have happened in real life. As a matter of fact, I can point to cases like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, right? What happened to him? He ended
Yeah,
up no
or the clown guy. What was his name?
Gacy, John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, what
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
to these guys? This is
The
Todd Phillips'
clown.
takes. He's like, okay, you got to see the madman do his things. Now, what's the consequences? And in the real world, the consequences are he's gonna go to fucking court. He definitely wouldn't win with the way his trial went, and he'd probably wind up being killed in prison by another inmate because of the shit that he pulled on live TV. That's what a lot of these live courtroom dramas. That's where a lot of these scenarios happened.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
at least in real life. In real life for sure. But
yeah. The top critics are a bunch of shows. You can't trust the top critic score. Look at the audience score, and besides that,
FU and stuff like that. None of the victims' families from the Wayne Enterprises said anything at all.
no,
Like they,
because Joker didn't kill anybody. Arthur was only bringing people who he directly affected. Yes, we saw the guy shoot them, but that wasn't him. He was only being accused of the crimes he committed. He didn't technically kill anybody from the Wayne family. That was just
no,
a
no, no, no,
setup
no,
for.
not the no, the employees.
No, he didn't kill any of the employees either. He had
What do
nothing to
you
do
mean?
with
What
the
about
Waynes.
those
That
three
was the
guys on the
point.
train? The guys on
Those,
on the subway? Didn't they work for Wayne Enterprises? No.
oh, that I think that was the father. The father who grabbed him was the one
Yeah.
of
Okay.
the victim's sons. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. All right. I was just like, yeah. I just I don't know. I don't know. If they were gonna go that route, they could have done a little bit better. But that's okay. Um,
oh yeah, I like Batman '89, but I'll be honest with you, Jack Nicholson is not my favorite Joker. Heath Ledger, I'd have to go with. Jack Nicholson was kind of goofy. It works for '89 and when that movie was shot, but um, I think I I like his. It's a complicated relationship. I like his betrayal, and I love some of the lines that he drops. But I just Heath Ledger will always be my favorite take on the Joker.
I gotta say Joaquin, even though like not
Yes,
really including this movie, but more so the first one.
yeah. I think Jack Nicholson does a good Joker that's already insane and the Prince of Crime. That's the other thing too. So here's the thing that kind of throws it off. Actually, Joaquin, I don't know if we can like we can put him in the running for the first movie, but this movie, and I want to get your thoughts. So we're super spoilers ahead. We're gonna jump right to the ending because Justin, I got a question for you. You want to know how I got these scars?
Oh God,
My
dude.
father was an
Yeah.
enemy
Yeah. Okay.
and a
Okay.
fiend. So, uh, why I love this movie and why so many people hate this movie. Let's fucking just dive into it right away because we'll jump around and talk about different aspects. But this is what you guys are all in for now. This divided people. Some people fucking hate this ending. I fucking love it for its implications. I would like to think this actually fits in the Nolan universe, and I could actually debate this point given what we've seen. But the end of the movie, so Arthur lost Lady Gaga. Uh, he basically turns himself back in. He goes to get arrested. Or he goes and he's walking. The guards say he's got somebody who's waiting for him. And there's this guy we've seen throughout the movie. He's seemed to be pretty pleased with what Arthur is doing. And people said you couldn't understand where this guy was in the film. That's bullshit. They showed him several times, and you can guess what he's thinking as he's watching Arthur's broadcast. And even the joke signifies why he did what he did to Arthur at the end of the film. But there's been this one guy who looks like he's been pretty on his side. And so the guy is walking next to him, and he tells him quite a funny story. And he says, a clown walks into a bar, and a psychopath walks behind him. And the clown asks the psychopath, "Hey, are you a psychopath?" And the clown says, "No, I'm a clown." And he goes, so the psychopath looks at him and says, "You get what you fucking deserve." And he stabs Arthur. Arthur drops. The camera pans towards his face as he kind of has this smile forming and he's looking down. Previously in the movie, they kind of foreshadowed this, but he saw Lady Gaga killing him, which I'm gathering he saw his own death by somebody. And he's kind of going back into that dream sequence, and he goes in and he looks and he's dying with a smile on his face. And fuzzy in the background, you see the character take the knife, put it up to his face, cut one side of his face, and then he takes the knife, puts it to the other, and starts cutting up to the other side of his face, implying that the guy who stabbed Arthur is in fact more than likely the Joker that we would eventually get. And that Arthur, in all actuality, was never the Joker and was the inspiration for not just, Gotham and all of these people who would incite these riots, but for who would eventually probably capitalize on all of the people in this movement and become the crime prince, the clown crime prince that we know and love, the actual Joker. I fucking love this, and in my headcanon, I would like to believe that based on the scenes in the first movie, right, where they included Bruce Wayne and his father and the whole thing we've seen 1,000 times with him becoming Batman, and then you get in this scene, this guy who is young enough, I did the math for their ages, he is young enough because technically in The Dark Knight, even though Heath Ledger's 28, he's supposed to be playing a Joker that's in his mid 30s to 40s. This movie is supposed to take place in the 80s, and this is like 2 years later. So the timeline does match up that this would be Heath Ledger's Joker from Dark Knight that killed Arthur Fleck, and how he actually got his scars was he killed the Pretender and took the mantle for himself. I assume eventually broke out of Arkham because nobody fucking stays in Arkham. No super criminal ever stays there. Batman stopped putting people there. And he would eventually become the foil to the Dark Knight. That's my headcanon.
What doesn't what the only thing that doesn't quite work is that everyone already knows Arthur Fleck as Joker. They'll hear on the news that he died in prison or in Arkham, that he got shanked. It will be reported. And then what? A few years later, another person named Joker comes out, like trying to pretend to be him, and then never gets caught. Like I don't see where.
That's the point of the movie. If you listen to what they said movements come and go. Arthur killed that movement when he outed himself in the courtroom as not the Joker. All of those protesters walked away, whatever, but someone still set a car bomb there to free him. There's still a small subsection, but you have to remember, if the Joker comes like 10 years or reveals himself 10 or 11, 12 years down the road, this movement is long gone. I mean, come on. How many movements? We've been a part of these things, right? How many people actually remember it, right? It fades away. And so now,
from the public consciousness from the 80s. I can see that.
And then now you have this other guy who says, no, I'm the Joker. And even in The Dark Knight, he says, Gotham deserves a better criminal, and I'm going to give it to him. So he doesn't want to be associated with Arthur, and that's why he stabbed him at the end. And he saw through his bullshit. He's like, you're not crazy, but I'm crazy, right? I thought you were this, but you're actually literally just a clown. You're just a poor schmuck. But I'm psychotic. And I could picture him wanting to do his own thing anyway. He wouldn't want to be tied with this movement. He would want, because what is the Joker? What is the concept of the Joker in general? It's been said several times. He is chaos. That is what he is. That's why he's Batman's mortal enemy. He is the antithesis of everything Batman is not. If Batman is order, justice, setting things right, Joker is having fun, blowing shit up, sheer chaos. And that's why they are always diametrically opposed, because one can't exist without the other, one can never like the other, but they both intrigue each other. Because for Joker, it's always, can I make Bruce Wayne insane? How can I break his seemingly unethically or ethical code that he has? And Batman is, I can't kill Joker. And I think in his own way, he wants to try to help Joker, because if he can fix Joker, he can prove that his way of doing things is the right way. And that's why they're always eternally opposed from each other. They're almost like, in a sense, actual good and evil, right? They can see each other's perspectives. In some ways, they respect each other's wills, but they can never be on the same side, because they are inherently the opposition to each other. And so,
but then going back to this movie, I see where you're going with this. So I think it's not out of the question that Arthur was never meant to be the actual like real Joker. That was a theory before the second one came out, before the sequel was announced. But somebody who inspired Joker, which I'm fine with, and I'm fine with that. I just didn't need a sequel to see that. I would prefer there, and there was a couple other things that were in the first film, left up to the imagination, left for interpretation. For example, the one lady that he imagined,
Zazie Beetz.
Yeah, she's whoever she is, she's alive, and a lot of people thought, oh, she's dead. And then also what I think somebody might have brought up somebody else that I can't remember. Like the psychiatrist at the end when he has bloody footprints and chasing the guards around and stuff like that, or like they're chasing him, and then afterwards he's chasing them like it's Scooby-Doo or something like that. It was hilarious. I loved it. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, I guess they didn't die.
Because
it's very much confirmed that the neighbor was alive, and I'm like, why would you take that away? Why would you take that away from us? That mystery. Why would you take that away? Is this movie supposed to be about taking away the mystery, taking away the mask, and just grounding it to reality? If that's the case, I'm not a big fan of it, because it does a disservice to the first film a little bit. It takes away from that, and I preferred to expand on it, like with scenes in the courtroom. One in particular, for example, with Gary, the short guy, who was very nice to Arthur, and Arthur liked him, and he killed that big guy right in front of him, and he was trying to escape, and he couldn't reach like the lock pad of the door.
Oh my god, yeah, we did the rewatch on that. That's still a like highlight scene.
That was a great scene. I mean, not because of the visual gag of, I mean, a little bit of it, I'll admit, of like a little person trying to reach the lock. Like, it's just like, it's funny to me. But it was more funny in the circumstance that he's trying to escape, and it's a serious situation. And it just gives me a little bit of a, like, it just adds suspense to it. And then I love that scene. That was my favorite in the movie. I actually liked it more than when Robert De Niro got shot in the face. Even though that was a great moment too, and that shocked the shit out of everyone that watched that in the theater. In the theater I was in, everyone was like, like an audible gasp from like everyone. Like, that's the kind of movie going experience you want to have. This movie was like dead silent with that, but the courtroom scene when Gary was in it, you got to see how how Arthur personally affected him, and his dialogue, the way that he was feeling, you know, how he felt. What I loved him, when he said, "I felt small," and we know he's a short guy, so I'm just like, hearing him say that was very powerful in the movie. And if there was I guess one scene that was worth watching, if I can only pick one, I think it's that one. And I think it really is the only like real scene for me where I actually feel something other than, can we get on to what's happening next? Every other frame. And then all of a sudden, okay, the car bomb goes off in the courthouse. Okay, something's going to happen. This is going to be a great finale. No. He goes back to the stairs. He gets, Lady Gaga breaks up with him. He gets thrown back to Arkham Asylum, and then he gets shanked. Like fuck, dude. Like, what the fuck? I didn't. No.
See, I disagree. I like the shanking because it's one. It is.
I'm just saying the lead up to it, everything that, and all of the. And I sat through. You have to remember, I sat through a 2 hour musical to get to this point where I thought something was going to happen. I hate musicals, Zod. Do you remember that? I hate movie musicals, but I gave this a chance. I, honest to God, gave it a chance because my love for the first Joker outweighs my hatred of movie musicals. And because of that, I went in with an open mind. I gave it a shot. I did give it a chance. I paid $20 for a ticket, $20 in in concessions, $10 for parking, $50 at the fucking window, 2 hours of boring musical shit. One emotional scene that almost made me cry, or I almost forced myself to try to cry because I wanted to feel something from this movie other than just, let's get the fuck on with this. Like, I had to work right after that. And because I saw it in the morning, at noon. And still, I was just waiting. I was waiting for something to happen. Something. And then I got that. And I got that. Now, do you understand why the more I think about it, the more I lower the score? Because of that experience, do you feel me, man? Do you feel me? Like, seriously?
Okay, so I'm gonna come on the opposite end because you're.
No, I just want you to acknowledge my suffering just for a moment and then go ahead.
That's I just want to off. So I just want to acknowledge your sentiments because your sentiments are like the exact sentiments of every fucking body apparently on the internet. Now I'm gonna come from an opposite angle. It's me and Bitchy's 5-year anniversary. It has been a stellar week. I went into this film hoping to be mildly entertained. Like, unlike you, I like musicals. Unlike you,
okay.
The experience was great.
Well, hold on though. I need to preface this again. Movies that are musicals, not Broadway, not just musicals.
No. I'm saying I like movie musicals too. Like, I get what you're saying. So I like movie musicals.
I just wanted to clear that up. Yeah.
West Side Story, Grease, Sound of Music, things like that. We've talked about this. I don't need to get into your feelings again. Yeah. You detest them. It's my 5-year anniversary, so we're already jazzed up about this. Surprisingly,
happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Surprisingly, Bitchy was also, she's very particular about this movie. She absolutely loved this movie too. So we were both vibing with what the movie was telling us. She was absolutely stunned with the cinematography. She loved the way the musicals were laid out. And that's one thing. Even if you hate musicals, they're fucking, we can agree, they're fucking shot immaculately. Some of the set pieces are big and bold and beautiful. And Lady Gaga's Lady Gaga. She doesn't sing terribly.
No, she's amazing. I told people right after I saw it, coworkers are like, "Oh, would you is it good?" I'm like, "Well, do you like Lady Gaga?" Yes. Do you like A Star Is Born? Yes. I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this. well then, yeah, you're gonna be good. But did you like the first Joker? Oh, I love the first Joker. So, I said at the time, because I didn't see any reviews, I was like, it's probably like a 50-50 shot you'll love this or you'll absolutely hate it. And I'm on that I don't like it as much.
You actually called it. This movie, like more than any movie I've ever seen doing this, and I think me and you have covered so many movies, this is one of those movies that diametrically splits people down the middle. There is no between on this fucking movie. Like, I have people in my comments that genuinely tell me, Zod, you were absolutely right. I don't know what people are talking about. I fucking love this. I love the way they ended it. I thought there was no other way you can end it, like I said. And then there are people like you where it's like, what was the fucking point? I love the first movie. Just wasted my goddamn time.
Well, yeah.
Both points of view.
Yeah.
Because this movie, like no other movie I've seen or I think we'll ever cover again, has squarely divided everybody right down the fucking middle. The sad part is the loudest screams are the people who directly hate it, and that's what you're going to see.
Well, and but that's with every movie. We know that by now. That's every single movie that has that split audience.
No, this I think is more so than anything I've ever.
More definitive, you would say?
Yeah, it's more definitive where there's legitimate.
Well, we have some friends that have been doing well lately that definitely have helped that. Because I can't imagine any one of my YouTuber friends who hated it. I don't think any of them would love it. I don't think a single one of them genuinely, not just to fall in line, but I don't think any of them actually would have loved it either because the circumstances.
I'm curious because I haven't talked to Stevie yet. I know he said he's going to see it, and I'm wondering how, because for us, the first Joker, I think it was one of the only movies that year, 2019. Yeah, that and Parasite were the only two movies we gave a perfect 10 out of 10 score to for that year. And I can't wait to hear Stevie J's reaction because I don't.
Is it not released in Australia yet?
I don't even know if it's in Australia yet. But yeah, so with that ending, I would say it worked for me. Like, I get it. You were already frustrated. But for me, everything was working for me. So in my mind, as I'm sussing out what the movie is trying to say, I felt like the only way you could go, and the only way Todd Phillips was going to get out of this was doing what he did, which was killed. Now, is it the issue, and this is where my 1 point deduction comes from. So everybody listening, why, if I liked it so much, is it 9 out of 10?
I'm going to like this.
My 1 point deduction is exactly what you said. I don't mind, and I love the fucking intrigue and being able to connect this to Dark Knight in my mind, and it will forever be in my headcanon. But
well, that's you, and then a lot of other people. Just to get this out of the way, a lot of other people, like with my headcanon, it's just the first one. This second one doesn't really exist, except for the Gary scene. That can stay. But everything else, no.
But also, to be fair, people who have, even if they hate it broken down, do connect this to Dark Knight just because of the implications with it. They're not very happy about it, but they made the same connection I did.
Well, yeah. A lot of people kind of got that, but then from what I understand, I think they were saying like that they just like weren't buying it, and they also mentioned the age range of Heath Ledger and stuff like that, and it doesn't match up. And I'm like, I'm with you when I hear like, oh, like it doesn't matter, like he's supposed to be older and. Was he really only 28 when he passed away?
He was 28, and even
I've lived longer than Heath Ledger. What the fuck have I been doing?
Wait, hold on. Even in the new Batman movie, Barry Keoghan, who's now supposed to be the Joker for the Batman 2, he is only 28 as well. But his
good
Joker,
luck, kid. Good luck. Also, I'm very mad because that could have been me.
and also his Joker is supposed to be an older take on the character as well in that universe.
Right? He looked older.
So for some strange reason, they always get younger actors to play an older Joker, which is why I'm saying timelines don't really matter as far as the character goes.
You're in makeup. It's like the guys in Kiss. They don't really on stage, like over the course of 50 years, they never looked older or younger. They were always in Kiss makeup and costumes.
Fuck, Jack Nicholson in the original Joker was pushing his mid 40s, early 50s in that time period anyway.
It doesn't matter.
So yeah, so Joker, the age isn't what, and that's what I want to say this movie.
That is actually now that I think about it, that is the dumbest argument for saying that this doesn't work, because I mean, even if you look to my favorite movie, Back to the Future, when you have like the older versions of George McFly and Lorraine and Biff, and they look older, but they're actually the age that they were in like 1955. They're closer to that. So that does not compute with me. You can make an actor realistically for the longest time look older. It's very easy. Making them look younger, however, not so much. Like that's not as easy. Still to this day, you can do all the de-aging technology that you want, but at the end of the day, it still doesn't look real.
It looks very uncanny.
Real. Yeah, but the opposite, like, is very true. So that's the stupidest thing to me.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. So for me, it's just a lot of people picking things apart just to get like kind of pile on extra hate. For me, the thing that works, that I will say, is that connection. But at the same time, I will confess, also my negative is I do think how we get to where we get to, mainly the third act, is a bit of a mess. The third act had so much potential based upon what the first two acts of the film are setting up. And clearly, even people who hate the movie, I did hear them say they were invested. They were putting their hopes in. They do kind of feel a buildup. And what it really is that third act doesn't reach a crescendo. It plateaus and it goes kind of flat, and then we end. And I think that's the biggest issue. Is honestly, and I hate to say,
you know what you just said? You literally just said the ending fell flat.
Basically,
yes, Todd agrees. He's on our side.
No, basically, the ending falls a bit flat because instead of keeping
but by the way, what I was trying to say was seriously though, it's glad that we've come to that sort of agreement, even like with the people that like you disagree with. Like, you gives us a 9 out of 10, which is crazy. Like, I get that, but like even people who give it like a 1 or a 0 or the worst ever, you also think that it fell flat. I really want to dive into like why.
See, because for me, and I want to, this is for people so that, you can kind of still be like, oh, you agree with that, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll get to my high points. But to everybody's credit who is complaining, I will give you this. I write stories, if you guys don't know. I write books, and go check out Books by Jay. She's starting a whole new thing. She writes books as well. We talk about writing. We have a segment called Jay and Zod on writing, and it is about how, as artists and how as storytellers, we have been taught or are different techniques to making a story. And one of the fundamentally important parts of writing a story is you got 3 points. Think of it as a mountain. You start off here as your introduction or the inciting incident. You go up here, which is called the rising action. You have your climax right here, and the downslope is called descending action, and your bottom is the resolution. So, so let me illustrate this with Joker. You have your initial reaction, which is Arkham. This is the jump off point, Arkham, what happened from the first movie. Your rising action is the events of Arkham, the trial. The peak is the final day of the courtroom trial.
Yeah, where
And
he confesses himself, like
Self.
saying like I'm not the Joker, and then the car bomb, boom, the car
Boom.
bomb. That is the actual like that is the peak. The car bomb blowing up.
Yes, that's your rising action. Now, here's the issue.
No, that's I think
Or that's your climax.
That's the climax, a literal
Uh,
explosion in after 2 hours of boring ass music.
Now,
No, I'm kidding about that.
now here is the issue.
Yeah.
So now it should slope down, and this is where you get your descending actions, the things that are letting people off, and then your final resolution. But instead of doing this and going down, it levels off and just goes straight. And that is what we call flat writing. Instead of having a point where it's just now declining you and then all of the things are starting to click together. Well, the problem is there's a portion missing where if you're descending, these things should start clicking in place for the audience and they should start to understand why we were here in the first place. Maybe you get a bit more action and but it's descending. You can have a few action scenes in between to decline your audience till bam, you get to a resolution. Instead of having those things that kind of bring you down the slope, it just levels off. And now you have him in the car. He escapes. He talks to Lady Gaga. He goes back and then kill. End. You see what I did there? There is a drop, but it's very minor for you to notice. And it's so sharp and it's so quick that the audience doesn't have enough time to process everything that led to what your conclusion is. So much like you and the rest of the people who are watching it, instead of getting those bits that are going to help you understand the final resolution, you just dropped off a fucking cliff and we got to the resolution and you got nothing in between to kind of guide you into that.
Right.
So this is really a fault on the storytelling standpoint that instead of writing this thing to have strong action and then follow that up with even more little bits of action, maybe you have him.
Well, there was a little bit. There was a little bit, but it was all in the same shot. It was all in the same shot, by the way. Like, did you notice that it was a very
it was all one.
Like, which was awesome. But that's the best shot of the movie. I honestly, that's the best shot of the movie. And then nothing happens after, and then it just like kind of went like, okay, boom, and then Harley Quinn, boom.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
instead of having.
So, yeah, I don't think like when you say it plateaued, I think I kind of understand. Like there was a long climax, and then it just. I don't think it was a plateau. It was more like all right, climax, and then. Whoosh.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it wasn't a gradual descent. It wasn't like
it was just like we reached the peak, and then we cut the reel. Like
actually it's almost like, to me, there's a couple of scenes missing, or there's stuff that's missing in between that's supposed to make sense from where we get from that car, him on the stairs, to him being shanked. It feels like there's a bit of something in between that's not there to connect the final ideas.
Some sort of there could have been like anything like with like maybe the rapport, maybe there could have been a little bit more, but some of that was revealed in the musical numbers that I almost wanted to fall asleep to. Like there was like there was like one argument between like, hey, the attention is on me. No, it's on me. It's supposed to be about us. Oh, but no, you're doing it for a show or something like that. Do you remember that part of the movie?
Which is what I'm saying, and that's the other issue too.
And that's the internal conflict that he's going through. But I get that. But I guess it was just like, all right, you in 2 hours, you could have really gotten into the psychological thing a little bit better, a little bit more clearer. Maybe,
and that's what I'm talking about with bits missing. It's like bits and pieces that, and you and me caught on the same things, right? It's bits and pieces that, like I see, you get it, and I'm sure movie goers are smart. You guys are smart. I don't treat my fucking audience like an idiot. I'm gonna assume everybody here who watches movies, you're smart. The issue, and I think what makes this divisive and makes this so irritating for people, is that One, I feel like certain scenes might be out of order, like they would have worked better, especially the musical numbers in different places. Two, there should have been slightly less musical numbers because only a few of them really add on to the theme and the point that we're getting to. And that, like you said, the ending, because of how it structures, just falls very flat because there's there's nothing that's anchoring people to that experience. And they're building this up in their mind, which the movie does really well. I can see people, okay? I can just picture what the reaction is. The way he's building this is that there's gonna be a big epic final thing, and you don't know in your mind. Like, just take it back your first watching, and you're thinking, okay, Arthur's gonna get into a shootout with the cops, because once you get that moment, it gives you that oh shit feeling, right? I know you felt it. You were like, oh, he's fucking out. Okay, the guys picked him up. We're going somewhere. He's gonna fucking find somebody. Maybe he's gonna kill the guards at this house, right?
I wanted him to not get out of the car. Don't get out of the car. Go to where
that's what Bitchy said.
I wanted to know where they were gonna go. I'm like, let's please let's go to where they were going. Let's go somewhere. But hopefully it doesn't lead up to a third one. Okay, maybe, sure, I guess. Not like wait till 2 years or something like that. But, that is the point where it could have gone like, oh, that's why we were sitting here for 2 hours in a musical.
I think, Justin, I think you or me just made an ending that fixes everything. Because I think if you end the movie like that, yeah, people would have been pissed. But I think people would have also been a lot more forgiving for some of the flaws, because that would have been a great argument. People would have been like, yes, it was courtroom drama. There were musicals, but that fucking ending. And then, okay, it was leading to him. Or even if they don't make another movie, then it's like the implication, oh, they were leading to this criminal organization and he was going to take over this group. And now it's like, oh, they're causing violence and shenanigans, and then
and you can still have Joaquin Phoenix sort of like, because he doesn't really like doing sequels or something like that. That's why like he's doing a sequel, but it's going to be definitive. He's got to die. Maybe that was the conditions, but he doesn't do sequels ever. Like no. And I understand why, because this, but that might have been attributed to a flaw in this different parallel Joker universe where it's its own thing. I'm like, you could have had, if you're gonna do like,
hey,
oh,
sorry,
all right, hi,
Justin says hi.
Yeah,
she says hi, Justin.
Hey, we'll wrap it up, Jesus. What I was saying is that if you're gonna do a second one, maybe try to do a third one. And you had 4 or 5 years to really, maybe like 3, but still 3 years to think about what you're going to do. You shouldn't, why not come up with something crazier? Or better yet, don't do anything at all. Because if the first one was the one and done, perfect. I love it. It's great. But then when you expand on it, that's where I think like Todd Phillips, I'm not trying to speak for him or anything, but I think like he's like, fine, I'll do a second one. Like, but that's the vibe I get. But if we were going to be smart about it, like, thinking about the third step of him, you could still have Joaquin Phoenix be the same as he was in the Joker 2, that he is, like the same sort of result, but then he hears the struggles of other people, and really like all of these people, they're not always crazy. Like sometimes, like some people are just crazy, but when you really dig deep into their struggles, their personal history, what they went through, only a very few are really just purely like, it's as if the devil himself created them. Yeah, and their mother should have had abortions, but like to just prevent all this shit from happening because these people have no redeeming qualities. But the overwhelming majority of people do. And when they fall into like a sort of cult-like status, it's because they're lost. They have no identity. They have no self-worth. They need to fight for something. You know, they have nothing outside of it. So that could have been an interesting third film. But instead, we got what we got. And that's, I think, I'm just now thinking about this. This is why I just didn't. This makes me drop it down to a 3.
And look, I'm not gonna be on that level. I say if I go any lower, it'd be an 8. But still, for me at least, for everything that I wanted, I place this at an 8 or a 9. I will defend it. I like the themes. I like the things that it tackles. I think it very much reflects, like the fanaticism angle that he tackles is very much what's happening right now. So once again, Todd predicted what this movie was going to get before it came out. And y'all are fucking acting like that mob who abandoned Arthur. And I think in a lot of ways, Todd is Arthur. Hey, I'm just going to fucking say it. People can come after me if they want to, but it's in the movie. And I think it's a strong symbolism. And Todd Phillips has made his fucking point to people. But Todd, I haven't jumped off your side because I fucking get it. Todd Phillips, if you think about the way this is structured, I feel like this story is almost like him predicting and saying exactly what's going to happen with him making a sequel, right? Arthur is beloved. Think about it. Arthur is beloved. He's seen as a symbol. End of the movie. He confesses he's not this symbol. He's just this guy who snapped, that had a bad day, and this is what happened. He can't be this thing. So what does the mob do? They retreat. They abandon him. They leave him. Lady Gaga breaks up with him. They were always only interested in the idea of him, but they were never listening to what he was saying. No one ever listened to Arthur and what he had to say until he became famous for doing what he did. And then even after that, they still didn't fucking listen to him. They created and projected their own views and opinions of what they thought he was saying. And they were wrong. We, as the audience, internally and externally, see everything that Arthur is saying to us. And yet, even as moviegoers, this movie is very symbolic to life, actually, and it's why I love it on a deeper level. Even as moviegoers, we see what Todd's saying, we see the message, but we still fucking ignore it. And what happens at the end of the day? He gets fucking killed, shanked, disregarded, and turned out to be a nobody. Now that, to me, is a powerful message because fucking people are doing that right now. They are fucking crucifying Todd Phillips, and just like they kill Arthur at the end of the movie
in an unceremonious sort of
way. And
and
not going to remember him.
That's and for people who are doing that, like, you're just feeding into the narrative that he predicted. Me, on the other hand, I don't like musicals.
No, like, I'm not saying this
I have a completely different perspective. You know, I have my own ideas, but like, but that's not why I dislike it. You know, it's not because I don't think it. It's not because I don't understand it. It's because, like, I wasn't a fan.
You don't like what you understand.
I just didn't. I didn't like that. I just, like, yeah. No thanks.
And like
for me, like it's okay, and it's okay. Like he made the movie that he wanted to make very much on purpose, and I didn't like it. Like, that's basically what it comes down.
Another thing too, we said this. He never said fuck the fans, read the articles. He said fuck the fanatics, and they took out the fanatics and put fans. I showed it in the Rolling Stone article, and I'll link the article in the description. But for him, he's even said that he felt like a lot of people missed the point of the first movie, which was not glorifying Arthur Fleck or not saying he's right or wrong. In his mind, he was expressing that nobody listens to the people who need to be listened to, and if you don't, this could happen. And society's not far away. because of the fact,
Mhm.
like this movie is doing, we create sides of 50% feel this way, 50% feel that way, and fuck you if you're not in the side. And people like us who are in the middle are just fucked. Because if it looks like we're saying one thing, oh, you're siding with them. If we're saying this on this other end, oh, you fucking traitor, you're siding with them, right? How many times have we been caught in these fucking arguments? And I like to think of us as very down the middle, try to be fair towards everything. And yet, the way the world is structured, the way the world is,
It's one side or another. It's us versus them, no
versus
matter
them.
what side you're on.
It's always us versus them. And fucking Todd Phillips, and I think why so many people subconsciously like the Joker is because he's saying that. But then we had the interpretations and people's hopes and dreams and their fucking and what they want out of the movie and theories and shit like that. And in a lot of ways,
yeah. Go ahead.
and so in a lot of ways, this movie felt like Todd saying, "You guys missed the point of what I was saying." At the end of the day, it was never about the message. It was never, you know, that's just what I wanted to say about society, but it was never about that you latched onto. It was about the man who I was conveying this message through. You forgot the man, you forgot the point, and he just fucking died. You let him die. And people are celebrating him dying, like the fucking psychopath shanking him. That is, I feel like that's the audience. Like, you guys held him up, and then when he needed you, you abandoned him, and then you fucking killed him. And how is this movie going to be remembered?
This
might even directly affect the
agree
first
with that.
movie.
I don't necessarily agree with that in terms of a literal standpoint, but I understand what you're saying.
But you get what I'm saying, because even the way Todd Phillips has worded some of his interviews, it really does feel like that in a lot of ways he felt like doing this, he was in a no-win situation. He even said, even creating a sequel to something that massively popular
Yeah.
was a no-win proposition from the
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you throw him enough money, he'll do it. He could have said no. He could have said no, but he didn't. I guess he
now
either.
here,
I guess he felt very strongly about it, and I respect that. But
no, this is what most
could have
people
just left it alone.
This is what most people didn't read. If Todd Phillips didn't do this movie, they were going to make a sequel, and I'll find the article. There is an article out there about it. WB was going to make a Joker 2, and they own the rights to the property. Todd Phillips does not. Todd Phillips then said, I'll do a sequel with Joaquin Phoenix, because they didn't want recast, because Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't have came back without Todd Phillips. So they didn't want recast and shit like that. So he made them the movie. But he didn't fucking make them the movie they thought he was going to make. And
that's another theory of trolling that is just like an FU to the studio. That is a theory I've heard, and I think that's a very strong possibility, but I don't know what happened. So,
this could even just be his message to the studio, like, I created something beautiful and you literally killed it. I could also see that as a message he's woven into this story about, like, oh yeah, I created all of this. I created this mysticism behind it. You want me to do more, but I'm not this person, and I'm going to kill my creation before you guys fucking kill it. Because now, based on this box, dude, WB will never make at least not a Joker movie in this world ever again. He fucking just killed it dead in the water. And even if that's the case, then can you really give this movie a bad rating? I'd rather a fucking
I can because
I'd rather they
didn't like
sabotage it.
I didn't like it. I'll give him respect, but it doesn't make me like it anymore. That's my final line. I'm gonna base a movie based on the movie. Like, gee,
and at this point, we're just spitballing theories, wild, outlandish theories. At the end of the day, just my own personal ideas, just dealing with the themes itself. This just feels like a guy who committed an act. People took it more of a statement. It was never a statement. and it's an allegory for movements and obviously with Lady Gaga, obsessive fans who want to fuck
Yeah.
these famous serial killers and things like that, and how
Mhm.
what people imagine in their mind, that's not actually the person. What you base your whole persona and movement on might not be what that person feels. Like, picture basing a movement on like Charles Manson or all these fucks. They didn't give a fuck about any of the people. They were just happy to have these fucking yahoos follow them, and look where it led. And I think that's a lot of, if we're just basing it on the evidence of the movie, I think that's a lot of what this movie is saying to people, is that this wasn't a good man. He knew at the end of the movie it, and that's the whole point. He's not Joker. What you think this is, that's not him. He killed those people as Arthur. Arthur snapped. Arthur did it. Arthur took those lives. This was never about making a grandiose statement. Even the people on the subway, they just treated him like shit, and he shot him. He had a bad fucking day. He got tired of being fucking punched. Bitch, he's doing the
Yeah,
thing. He
get
got
beat up
tired
on
of
the
being
team.
stepped on and treated like shit. And in that
Yeah,
way,
like he says it in his joke per se,
Yep.
but like, you know, and that was the whole point. And I understand that. But just in execution,
and it doesn't work.
and it just for whatever reason it didn't work for me. It's not what I would have wanted to see. But I understand it. I just didn't like it, and that's fine. Like,
and I think that's
and these
where
are great ideas, but like, you know, it just not for me. You know,
and I
not in
think
the way that it was done. You didn't have to make a musical out of it. You didn't have to.
I honestly think
go
it
all
probably
this
would have
way.
helped not doing a musical angle, just making it a straight up film. I think it helped, except for I like the cartoon in the beginning. That was pretty cool.
I thought I you know what, that was the first point where I was like, this movie's gonna be weird. Like that's exactly what I got from that. And I'm like, oh, like we're 5 minutes of a cartoon. Oh no. That's when I was like, my initial, oh shit, it's a musical and I have to watch a cartoon. You know, I don't watch the Clone Wars because I don't watch like cartoons. I don't do it. I'm an adult. I don't watch cartoons. And I'm like, now it makes sense why I hated this movie more than I more and more every time I think about it.
But at the end of the day, so you got both sides of this argument.
Yeah.
And you know, people
Hopefully.
can side with Justin, probably a vast majority will, and some might side with me. But at the end of the day, I would like to say this. I don't believe in my heart, though, this movie deserves as much hate as it's getting. That's just my honest opinion. I think that the absolute really nasty shit I see people saying is kind of like a little uncalled for. It's okay to be passionate or whatever else and state your points clearly. Please don't put the movie sucks. Please be specific, because that's fucking annoying.
Yeah, don't just say like you suck. Just say like, okay, why do I suck? How do I suck?
Yes,
Exactly.
like the comment I got the other day. They explained to me what their reasons are, and it made sense.
And
I
they
go,
sub to your channel.
fair enough, good point. And they sub to my channel, so thank you for that. But I think that the problem that is in the world today and with movies in general is that nobody fucking talks, and we have this babyish, people just get pissed off. Now they're going to rant, and they're going to, you know, spew this ridiculous nonsense and say all of these things. And anybody who compares this to fucking Madam Web, stop it. Stop it. Stop lying. Stop it.
I haven't even watched it, and that just sounds like a terrible...
That's the worst take I've ever heard on the internet. Madam Web, okay, just me and actually Bitchy, we've watched several videos breaking down how terrible the movie is. Dude, this is a movie where they couldn't get the fucking sound right. The guy
the sound English. The below the line talent fucks shit up. Dude, oh my god, that's like saying the lighting department screwed up. Like,
they did. Oh, don't worry, everybody did.
Movie, like there's a boom up in the frame. You can see reflections, and they don't even try to hide it. Like, wow, Wow.
Yeah, this dude speaks English and they dubbed over his voice, and you can tell it's clearly dubbed because the ADR is so bad that it keeps going
Whatever.
after he's done talking. So
But
that's what I mean.
the point is, this is so bad even from a technical standpoint. This isn't bad from a technical standpoint. This is great from a technical standpoint. Storyline, flawed, musical, whatever. Ending sucked. I know you agree. Yeah, but yeah.
And I like this. Justin doesn't. Now you have two perspectives. Thank you for joining us. Maybe we could do some more movies like this. Maybe
Yeah, this
we'll
is
have
the first time I will consider this an honorary episode of a real conversation, like a real conversation about Joker 2. That's a better title than whatever the fuck you put. It's fine, but whatever.
Yeah. It's just
yeah, but yeah, I consider that I'm going to put this in the playlist of on my channel with Scream 5, Scream 6, and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, because I love having these discussions with you, whether we agree or like sometimes like we're on opposite spectrums, or you are fully positive and I'm in the middle, and then we have somebody else who like fucking hates it, or it's great. It's always balanced. It's always like really civil. We're not arguing. We're not really even arguing. We're just saying like how we feel, and we're discussing it. And we're telling you guys how we feel, and we want to know how you feel.
Yeah, so in the comments below, let us know. We really want to know. Let us know how you feel about the Joker, if you agree or disagree with either of our points. What is your own perspective, and what are your own experiences going to see this movie? What were you hoping for? I really do want to know. I'm very curious. I do like to see what are people's complaints, because then I could be like, I understand that. I've seen that or whatever. I get why you wouldn't like it. But try to keep it civil. Try to keep it actually answering questions. Don't just put this sucks and you suck because you like this. Because I'm not gonna fucking
add
answer you
anything.
back.
You don't have anything else to add. You have nothing to add. You just feel differently, and you just want to be mean about it. Like,
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, and like that's something I would have done if I was like 12. But like as an adult, no way. There's no fucking way. No,
dude. As when I was in Call of Duty, I've seen a lot of Call of Duty lobby responses to movies where it's like your mother. It's like, okay, that has nothing to do with the movie, but I guess you didn't like it, or you have some like 5-year-old fucking yelling curse words as you're trying to play. That's why I don't play online anymore, because I would fucking get banned by PlayStation for hurting some 10-year-olds' feelings, because like the shit you hear in the lobbies these days is just so terrible.
Or just like or turn off like can you like mute them like
yeah, I could mute certain people, but like if you have a party going, unfortunately, PlayStation hasn't figured out the tech yet to where you don't hear other people if you turn on your mic, because I got to keep it on to hear their chatter. And
I just don't use a mic at all. Yeah. Like I don't have a headset. I just problem solved. I don't want to talk to these people over Call of Duty.
That doesn't help if you're trying to coordinate, like mission objectives and things. But yeah, that's probably a stream for another day. Yeah. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Justin, thank you for coming on. I would love to do another one of these. Maybe I'll just rename them Real Talk. And then you can
real conversation, yeah. Or you know what? I almost wanted to come out of my YouTube retirement because I was so angry about this movie. I recorded like me driving to work and like being upset, like just like hearing my thoughts. I'm like, wow, I wasn't even like enthusiastic. I was just like kind of like, yeah, this was that was that. I was like, wow, you were really in a bad mood after that. It was not good.
I still am going to make my prediction. I think if you take this movie, give it 5 more years and let it cool down and what people were expecting and knowing what the movie is now, I think maybe you have a better response to this movie when the hype has died down and people's expectations of what they want dies down, I think this will be a movie that people at the very least will respect on a technical level and on a director doing something bold and unique and different. I think that this will have its place and it may even build a bit of a cult status, or you'll have more people who will be more passionate and more defensive of it. It's just right now, it's fresh, it's in everybody's heads, it's going to be for a while. And, you know, and I'm going to be on an island until hopefully a group of like minded people join me and go,
Have
you
you
know what?
seen
They
a
were
good
right.
positive review of it yet?
Fuck, I think I'm the only one on the internet with a positive review. Honey, is it?
I don't even believe people who like. I've watched a couple of interviews with like Todd Phillips, Joaquin, and Lady Gaga, and the interviewer is just like, "It was a bold move," and I was like, "Oh, you're so fake. You hated this. Come on, you hated it. You know you did." But
Still one of the highest grossing movies right now.
Oh, so Bitchy just interrupted with a quick little note for everyone before we go. She said, despite, and this is people we both listen to, like everyone, even people she listens to that
Mhm.
I don't, who reviewed this and hated it. We have both seen comments with people actually in the comment section saying that they liked it.
Wait, never mind. Never mind.
That they liked it, and that despite what's going on.
Wait, no, it had a 40 opening. Never mind. I thought I read an article.
Yeah. Okay. So the opening is pretty rough, but it's not as rough as people were predicting. It opened to 40 million.
121 million global.
okay,
Okay.
what are you trying to say? Like,
Okay.
your
So
point being missed.
despite overwhelmingly negative reviews, there apparently still appears to be a subsection of people who really do enjoy this, and its box office is not as bad as everyone originally projected.
But
It has a 40 million weekend opening, but it has 120 million globally so far, and
Yeah.
it's on a $200 million budget. So at the very least, it will break even.
because here's an article. Joker sequel gets the last laugh as critical flop takes box office crown. But there's all these
Oh, and it's also taken the box office for the weekend as well. So I guess the joke is on everybody who hates it.
I'm not gonna quote it on that, but anyways, this was fun.
Yeah,
The
this
numbers
was
don't
this was
matter to
great.
me. The numbers don't matter to me. What matters to me is how I felt with it, and I was unsatisfied. And that's
make at least 100
no, not to say that the concept wasn't like interesting. Well, it was just not for me. It was not my jam. I did not like it, but that's okay. Doesn't mean I don't. Yeah. It doesn't mean we have to fight about it. Like, who cares? Like, we didn't argue at all. We really didn't argue.
No, we actually didn't argue once, and unlike you, I liked it. I am actually probably going to put this in my top movies of 2024 because my top movie list sucks.
I'm glad you enjoyed it on your anniversary. That's what's important.
And yeah, and I enjoyed it on my anniversary, and so did my lovely future wife. So, I mean, that to me, that was the most important thing. And maybe people will say I'm grading on that curve, and that might be true, but I think it is also nice when the two people who had high hopes, who have been together for 5 years, and go into this hoping to be entertained, and we're both entertained by a movie. We both like it. And it was our anniversary, and we both came out happy and loving this. To me, that the movie does what it sets out to do, whether other people liked it or not, because we enjoyed it, we loved it, and for us it was like the perfect send off to what our relationship has been for this movie series. And I thank Todd Phillips for that, because we could have fucking came out of this
been like me. You could have been like me.
Yeah, but we weren't. And so in that respect, I guess I'm always gonna fucking defend this movie because of that, because it's special how the day went down, and it's special how we both felt about it, and even a couple of days later we still fucking feel the same about the movie. So I don't feel guilty and I don't feel bad for giving it the score that it has and for defending it the way that it did. And it's going to have a special place. I'll own it just like the first one. And people, one last thing. If you don't like the movie, you have the Joker 1. Just don't watch 2 and pretend 1 is the canon.
Do what I do. Never
Just
watch
gonna
it again.
erase it.
Don't acknowledge its existence.
Yeah, Joker 1 happened. Boom, he loves it.
You know what you can do? You know what you can do? Download digital copies, put it in a movie file, cut it however you want, and add scenes in at the end, if you so please.
Hell, if you wanted
you
to
want
end it with that
whatever
awesome...
your head canon is, cut it up, and make your own version of it. Who cares? Yeah, is it reality? No, but if whatever keeps you sane, honestly, do it. Do it. Lord knows I haven't, and look where I am at now. So yeah.
Yeah, he's on my channel. Everybody, thank you for watching. Please click that like, share, subscribe.
But Zod, I have one more question. Will you be getting a movie palette of this?
Of course, I'm going to be getting a movie palette of Joker 2. Do you
What
want
is
to know
the
why?
movie palette? Yeah, why? Yeah.
Because in moviepalette.com, you get a nice palette with the background scenes from the movie. And I imagine Joker 2's movie palette is going to look fucking awesome. And the awesome part about it is, too, if you enter the promo code in my description, Zone 15, you can save 15% off of your amazing Joker or Joker 2 palette. And you get any deals that the site is having. So if they have 50% off, you can also get an additional 15% off of that. And thank you, moviepalette.com, for sponsoring the channel. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And please, in the comments below, let me know your thoughts, but be civil about it. Don't attack anybody. And just tell me in great detail. I read them all and I respond. So tell me in great detail what specifically you didn't like, what you did like, if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, if you agree with Justin, why? And I will answer you back, and we can have a discussion about this. And thank you, everybody who watched. Thank you, Justin, for coming up. Now I'm going to go because I've got to go see my beautiful Lee Quinzel. And we have got to cause some chaos in Gotham.
All right, have fun with that.
Hey.